Hi, it's James from GPX. I just thought I'd show you around the GPX FSE 450R. This is the first one to be unboxed and built up in the United Kingdom. I've given it a tiny ride, literally. But I just wanted to give you a walk around so that you can actually see the bike close up, get some more detail on it, so if you're actually considering it, you get a better picture and a better understanding of what it's all about. That's the aim of this video. These bikes have been for sale in the United States. They have no mechanical problems. The chassis shares exactly the same chassis as all of the GPX range, so there's nothing different here. So I'll start with the engine. The engine is a 449cc Zhongshen engine. They're the people who make engines for Fantic, along with a host of other manufacturers. And they make approximately 2 million engines a year, which is considerably more than pretty much any other manufacturer out there. These bikes, the engines don't have any mechanical issues at all. They're fuel injected, water cooled and electric start. They have 1600 millilitres of oil in them, and the benefit of holding a little bit more oil is that you don't have to change it as often as you would on, let's say, other bikes out there. We're recommending oil changes every 600 miles. And we're recommending, well, this is a manufacturer's recommendation, that the valves are checked every 6,000 miles. So you've got a low maintenance on this engine. You've got external access here to the filters and for draining the oil as well, so it's easy access. This sump guard here comes off with one bolt at the front and it just hooks off the frame at the back, so there's no great work when you actually want to drain the oil. Just take the sump guard off and let the oil flow into a pot, and then top it up with some quality oil and you're good to go. These bikes produce 44 brake horsepower, and there are people out in the United States who've been getting these up to 90 miles an hour. These are quick bikes. We're not saying they are quite as quick as a KTM, for instance, but they are easily quick enough. And the benefit of having a more reliable engine, or an engine that doesn't require the maintenance, is that you've got an engine that's going to cost you less money in the long run, because you're not having to think about piston changes, every 100 hours or every 60 hours or something like that. This engine will just keep going on and on and on. The cooling system is obviously, it's water cooled with an automatic fan on both sides. You've got a fan there, as you can see. This is a completely stock bike, and you've got a fan on the other side. So two fans. People sometimes in the States take out the thermostat on these bikes, so that's something to bear in mind. You've got a Coolant Overflow bottle there, which lets any surplus coolant, if it does get hot, go into this bottle, and then when it cools down, it sucks the fluid back into the radiator. So that's a great feature which you do not see on other bikes, which means when you do get a bit of blowout of your radiator, let's say when the thing gets hot, if you're stuck in the forest, for instance, then it's just, you don't need to top it up. You don't need to worry about having a bit of steam coming out, because the steam won't come out. It will literally, when the cap releases its pressure, it will blow the water into this tank here, and then it will take it back into the radiator afterwards. So that's a good idea. It is fitted with a lithium battery, so that's a real quality aspect. It's got one of those, what do they call them, spider web, bumpy, huge air filters in there with a quick release. It just plugs into two holes there and clips into place, as does this side panel. I'll start at the rear wheel, seeing as I'm here. We've got a 52 sprocket, which is made of alloy. They are billet hubs, and you've got stainless steel spokes, and obviously alloy rims, alloy swinging arm. They've got tubes fitted them as standard. got powerful brakes. Okay, these pads are easy to come by. We sell them in the GPX store at a very reasonable price, but they are also available elsewhere. This is an improvement for 2023 because previous years they had a GPX sticker on here, and when the bikes got hot, the GPX sticker bubbled. So what they've done now is they actually etched the GPX into the exhaust, which means you've got no sort of bubbling of that sticker anymore. Billet foot pegs. You've got rebound on the bottom of the shock here. As you can see just there, you've also got a lowering hole for the suspension as well. If you move that bolt up to that hole, it drops the rear end of the bike down by 40 millimeters. And you can obviously lower the front end down as well by, I would say, 15 millimeters. But if you put bar risers on it, then you can bring the front end up through the yokes by the same amount as the back, if you wanted to. It's just to help people who have trouble touching the ground. On the top here, you've got a compression adjuster on the top of the shock. And you've also got a spring preload there. These are both compression adjusters, high and low speed adjusters. That big nut is just a lock nut holding it all in. This is made by SZC. SZC are the aftermarket accessories side of the company that makes all of GPS bikes. There is one company that makes all of GPX bikes out in China, and they are massive motorcycle enthusiasts. The guy who owns the company, it just eats, sleeps and breathes motorcycles. He's so passionate about it. And he makes all the silencers, he makes the exhaust, he makes the brake calipers, he makes levers, he makes foot pegs, and he makes suspension units. Moving on to the front suspension, they are open cartridge front forks, which are absolutely superb and as good as anything you will find on any stock bike out there. The performance is superb. They're made by SZC again. I'm telling you, these are really, really good forks, as good as Beta, as good as KTM stock front forks. And I race these things, and I really expect them to perform, and they're brilliant. They're smooth, they soak up all the little bumps. I'm 14 stone and probably 14 and a quarter with all my riding kit on, and they're just perfect for me. You've got on the bottom of the forks here, okay, you can probably see up there, the red adjuster there, that's compression adjusters. And you have one on both sides. There's the one on the other side. On the top of the forks here, you've actually got a bleed valve there, and you've also got the rebound adjusters. After about an hour or so, an hour and a half, it's often best to push that button in there to release the air that might have built up inside these forks. It's the same on any open cartridge forks, and it just takes the performance of the forks back down to exactly how it should be, nice and plush, because forks do get a little bit stiffer the more and more you actually ride them during the day. Pushing that button takes the forks back to a nice plush feel again. Okay, on the front, again, we've got a billet hub. We've got a stainless steel disc and spokes, as you would expect. But I like these stainless steel. You don't have to worry about rust creeping in through them. You know, if you've got to keep the bike outside or keep it under a tarpaulin, or just if you're not washing it for a bit, you don't actually have to worry about that. So I think that's a real bonus, and that's something you'd expect on, I don't know, maybe a Leverda or something like that. Most bikes don't have stainless steel spokes. SZC front caliper, and you've then got the Speedo sensor coming out there, which is obviously connects up with a little magnet on the disc that spins round. That feeds up to the Speedo at the top, which I'll get to in a second. I think that it would be a nice little touch if the actual factory, if we had a little bracket there, maybe a little bracket fitted to the mudguard that comes out, that wraps round, and you can put your lever in, put the cable in like that. I've actually fitted one to my TSE 250 GPX, and it does the job perfectly. So maybe, you know, if you get one of these bikes, just carry out that little trick there. Moving up to, by the way, these springs on the front and rear suspension are easy to get hold of. They are generic items that are out there available from various different suspension manufacturers right now. So you don't have to come running to GPX if you actually need stiffer front forks or softer front forks, okay? Just have another look around the engine here. You can see the starter motor on the top. You can see the fuel pump. Obviously got a disc guard on the front. You've got a matte finish on the frame this year, okay, and on the hubs. It's more of a matte, less of a shiny finish. And you find with stuff that's got less of a shiny finish, it doesn't deteriorate as quickly. Stuff that's shiny, you know, dulls down with various jet washing and just scratching and bits and pieces. So I expect that to stay in better condition for longer. You've got the switch gear here on the left-hand side, horn, indicators, kill switch, high and low beam, and a flashing light as well. Clutch lever, which is very light. This is a 450. I mean, look, you know, it's a light feel. I mean, don't get hung up on the fact that, oh, it's a cable. Well, so what? You know, people have actually had cable clutches, you know, since the beginning of motorcycles. It's only in the past 10 years that we're worrying about a hydraulic clutch. Sure, some people might prefer them, but if you fall off your bike and smash your master cylinder or even break the perch, you know, you're talking like 150 quid minimum, where, you know, we sell that and that for sort of 12 quid, you know. So it's much better. I mean, I'm always falling off my bike. I'm always breaking things, you know. But you don't have to worry about that with this. And the cable, there's no disadvantage. It's superb. It's got loads of adjustability there, adjustability down there. There's no negatives. And moving over to the other side, you've got the electric start button there, front brake master cylinder, the throttle. These are lock-on grips, okay. These are all extras. You've got alloy billet yokes holding the front forks. These alloy front forks, which are absolutely superb. Again, these are made by SZC, all of these items up here. And then we've got the Speedo. Okay, you can hear the fuel pump priming. You've got 2 keys on this bike. I'll just turn that off. So you've got a little cap over the top of this key, just to step water going down into the actual ignition switch, which I think is nice. It's nicely tucked away behind the light, so that you know, it doesn't get broken when you're going through trees and bushes, etc., etc. You've got a double one just as a backup. I think that's a really nice feature. It's just an extra little bit of security if you're going around a mate's place and he says, oh, you have to leave the bike on the driveway, or just anything like that. You obviously put a chain on it, but they're not going to be able to just, you know, get rid of it, you know, ride it away. You know, you've got the key. I mean, it's obviously not infallible, as we all know, but it's an extra layer of security, and these blighters aren't going to be expecting it. So turning it back on, you've got speed, which is in kilometers there, but you can change it to miles. You've got voltage, you've got revs, you've got a gear indicator, and you've got high and low beam indicators as well as trip as well. So pretty much everything you'd expect. That's a real sort of ace bit of kit. It really is. And they don't break, and I've got them in stock, and they're not a lot of money. So even if you did bust it or something like that, it's not going to break the earth just to get another one. Nice set of handguards, which are pretty cheap. We've got a 4 halogen front light, which is super bright. It really is. If you go down a dark lane, this thing just illuminates the whole lane up, so that you can ride at night almost as quick as you would during the daytime. So, you know, that's a real bonus. You've got LED bulbs everywhere. This is all LED. It's all LED. Grippy seat cover. Nice logo. Plastics, these are really good value. We sell the decals for 60 quid. If you scratched yours up and you wanted a new set, you're not looking like 125 quid or 150 quid. They're just 60 quid. Spare plastics kit for £99 for everything, every bit of plastic, every bit of grey plastic on the thing, and including the handguards and including these brackets as well. So that's really good value. The handlebars are twin wall, okay, and they are really strong. I've crashed so many times. I've been racing my bike in about 14 events, including 8-hour events, extreme enduros, 5-hour events, and I've not bent my handlebars, and I've fallen off loads and loads and loads of times. We've got levers in stock. We've got, you know, everything here. So if you break something, we've got it. All the parts at reasonable prices. And there we are. There's a... Ooh, try and get them back in focus. There we are. So GPX 2023 450 FSE. It's an absolutely gorgeous bike. It goes like the wind. And it's not going to give you any bother. If it does, we'll back you up. You've got a warranty on it for 6 months, covering you for parts, the first month's labour. And we're here to look after you guys. That's the number one aim. That's the number one job for me as the importer. We've got aftermarket gear levers for these things that are a touch longer if you wanted one. The rear wheel takes a 400 wide rear tyre. It comes with CST tyres, and I think the rear is like a 120 or 110, but you can go up to a 140, plenty of space, and I do that on my own bike. What else haven't I mentioned? I haven't started, have I? So, I've been gabbling on for quite a bit, so it's given the bike, I mean, literally, I've only driven it down from one of my garages, so I haven't got it warm anyway. It's primed, kill switch is off. There we are. Automatic choke is fuel injected. You don't have to worry about things like chokes anymore. Just straight unleaded, normal fuel in it. You can put the expensive stuff in if you want, but fuel's expensive enough. The whole idea of GPX, it's a great family of people. These bikes have been for sale in the United States for years and years and years, and they've all been tried and tested. There's nothing new here, and they offer incredible value for money. And you've got 90% of the performance, or 80% of the performance that you'd get out of a KTM engine or a Beta engine, and you've got a chassis which will offer you about 95% of the performance of all those. And who uses all 100% of the performance anyway? I know I don't. I mean, I've done Romaniacs a few times. I wasn't pushing the bike to its limit. I wasn't revving it out in each gear, you know. I was just short shifting, because that's how most people ride. But these bikes are terrific value, and I think they're a wonderful breath of fresh air in the off-road market, which has got up to some crazy price levels. Let's turn the lights on. It's a bright light. You can tell that's a bright light. It's obviously daylight, but you can tell. If that was a normal bulb, you'd hardly be able to see it on my hand. It's a powerful bulb. Flash. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. So there we are. It's got everything. I'm sure you'll make little refinements to it and little changes to it, like everyone does when they buy a little bike. Maybe you want to strap that coolant, that breather tube up to there. You know, that's something that people will do, and that's something that I would do. But these are superb bikes. They come with a comprehensive toolkit, okay? It's got everything in there, from locking wire to a air pressure gauge to tools to do all, to change the wheels, to adjust your chain. Oh, by the way, O-ring chain. You weren't expecting that, were you? On a bike for $5,795. Hey, brand new. So lithium battery, O-ring chain. These are all things that the factory could have skimped on, you know. They could have said, well, they're just cutting corners. They don't cut corners. They're a brilliant factory, and they're motorcycle enthusiasts just like me and you. So sorry for waffling on and on. I told you a lot of information there. Go go visit YouTube, have a look at all the people out there with their GPX 450s, see how they get on with them, see them riding them, see the speed, listen to the engine, see how the suspension goes, check them all out. Visit the Facebook page in the USA, you know, listen and to all the people chuntering on about their bikes and their experiences with them and having great fun with them. That is the best advert in the world, because it's real and it's true and it's from real people. And that is what Soul does on GPX, the fact that it's such a lovely community of people. I'll turn this off. It's such a lovely community of people, and they're so friendly, and you know, they'll help you with any questions you've got. It's an uncritical sort of area of Facebook, and you know, even if you've got the most simplest question in the world to ask, you can do so without any worry of sort of you know having someone make a snide remark. It's a wonderful place, and when I came across it a couple of years ago, it was an absolute breath of fresh air. So there's so many places out there to do your research before you buy one of these bikes, but you could well have done enough already. These are superb bikes. They don't break down. If they do, we've got your back. You're going to have your time of your life on this, and you're going to do it for more money. And these things are going to take off in the UK. And the 450 is a wonderful short shifting grunt machine, you know. It comes with high speed gearing on at the moment, but you can get an 11 tooth for the front, and that drops it down significantly and will pop the acceleration up massively, as you know, by lowering the gearing by 1 on the front. It makes a big difference. So anyway, I think I've covered about everything there is. Any questions, you can fire a message over to me on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or anything like this. So goodbye from me and Merlin the Hound. See you later. Bye.